Hello and welcome back to React Foundations from the Next.js website. I'm Russell and we are on chapter 7, adding interactivity with state. Learn how you can add interactivity with React state and event listeners. So let's get right into it. Let's explore how React helps us add interactivity with state and event handlers. As an example, let's create a like button inside your home page component. First, add a button element inside the return statement. So under our list, we're going to create a button and we're going to say like, and then close our button tag there. So now we have a like button. Listening to events. To make the button do something when clicked, you can use the onClick event. In React, event names are camel cased. The onClick event is one of many possible events you can use to respond to user interaction. For example, you can use onChange for input fields or onSubmit for forms. And of course, there's plenty of other ones that you can use, like onMouseOver, onMouseOut, those common ones that you know, and they all pretty much translate one-to-one, just using camel case. So we're going to add our onClick and then set that equal to some curly braces to take us back into JavaScript land. So, handling events. You can define a function to handle events whenever they are triggered. Create a function before the return statement called handleClick. So inside of our home page, but before the return statement, so right here, we're going to create a function. I'm just going to separate it a little bit, function, and we're going to call it handleClick. And inside of this, we're going to console log, right? We're going to do something, and in this case, we're going to console log increment like count. Okay. Then you can call the handleClick function when the onClick event is triggered. So we can just type that in here, handleClick, and that will call this function whenever somebody clicks. Try running this in your browser. Notice your developer tools, how the log output increases. Right, so I'm going to reload just so you can see it a little better. So here we have increment, and every time I click it, it's showing how many times this is. So you can keep clicking it, and you'll see, it keeps working. State and hooks. React has a set of functions called hooks. Hooks allow you to add additional logic such as state to your components. You can think of state as any information in your UI that changes over time, usually triggered by user interaction. And I like to tell people that this is sort of like setting a variable and being able to update that variable. That is the easiest way to sort of conceptualize what state means. So you can think of it like a toggle, right? We could handle the state of like on or off for a toggle, or we could handle state of a numerical value such as likes. We can really set state to anything we want. That's, a JavaScript variable. So a Boolean, string, objects, arrays, things like that. So you can use state to store and increment the number of times a user has clicked the like button. In fact, the React hook used to manage state is called useState. I know, so creative. Add useState to your project. It returns an array, and you can access and use those array values inside your component using array destructuring. So to do this, we're going to go inside of our function. I'm going to go right to the top here. And I'm going to do const, and we have basically brackets. And then we're going to set that equal to React. So we're pulling from the React library this hook called useState. Okay. The first item in the array is the state value, which you can name anything. It's recommended to name it something descriptive. So in this case, we're going to name it likes. So we go inside here and we say likes. The second item in the array is a function to update the value. You can name this, you can name the update function anything, but it's common to prefix it with set followed by the name of the state variable you're updating. So there's a very common design pattern to say, my variable name is going to be likes, so this should be set likes, and you'll notice that we use camel case here as well. You can also take the opportunity to add the initial value of your like state to 0, right? So we can set the initial value inside these parentheses. Then you can check the initial state is working by using the state variable inside your component. And so here, instead of like, we're going to put like. Oh, they just did like. So yeah, we're going to do like, and then in parentheses, we're going to add the variable using curly braces. And remember, that's to designate that this is JavaScript. And now we can see our button has 0. And every time I click it, it's not changing yet. So we actually need to change this, right? So inside of our handle click function, we're going to set likes. So this is our updater function to likes plus 1. So finally, you can call your state updater function set likes in your homepage component. Let's add it inside the handle click function you previously defined. So we just did that. Now clicking the button will now call the handle click function, which calls set likes state updater function with a single argument of current number of likes plus 1. So there we go. Now we see it changing as well. Note, unlike props, which are passed to components as the first function parameter, the state is initiated and stored within a component. You can pass the state information to children components as props, but the logic for updating the state should be kept within the component where state was initially created. Managing state. This was only the introduction to state, and there's more you can learn about managing state and data flow in your React applications. To learn more, we recommend you go through the adding interactivity and managing state sections in the React documentation, and I would second that. It's definitely important to understand how these things are incremented and the correct way to do them. So additional resources, state a component's memory, meet your first hook, and responding to events. And with that, it is quiz time again. So test your knowledge and see what you have learned. What is the difference between props and state? Props are read-only information that's passed to components. State is information that can change over time, usually triggered by user interaction. B, props are used to define a component's behavior. State is used to style components. Or C, props contain temporary information about a component. State contains read-only information. Take a few seconds and think about it. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go with A. And that's correct. Props are read-only information that's passed to components. State is information that can change over time, usually triggered by user interaction. There we go. We have completed Chapter 7. Congratulations. In the next video, we will move on to going from React to Next.js, and we'll be reviewing your code and see how we can continue learning React. So I will see you in the next video.